Alright, take 3 everybody. In the past couple of weeks, I've been working on things like creating my state machine for my player, a little bit of sound design, taking initial steps for my menu system and inventory system, as well as adding the floors. So I wanted to add some sounds to my player, and I quickly realized that something's not right. There were a lot of if and else statements, a lot of imperative code, and I was not happy with that. It was just a big jumble of mess. So I decided to implement a state machine for my player and bring a little bit of observable sugar into the mix. So what is a state machine, you may ask? A state machine, or a finite state machine, is a model where an object can only be in one state at a time. That object, in my case is the character, transitions between states based on certain conditions or triggers. This is how that looks in my game. When I press left and right, my player switches to the walking animation. When I press the run button, he switches to the run animation. Same goes for going up and down the ladders and stairs. Now just look how easy it is to bind something to a state. In my case, the player state is an observable that omits to its subscribers every time a state changes. For my state machine, I have opted to define the states in my actors constructor. Here I can utilize stuff like on-enter and on-exit callbacks if I ever need them. After some heavy refactoring, I finally brought the player class to a state that I'm really happy with. Everything felt cleaner and it was easier to manage now. So naturally, I took a break. It was a wonderful, rare sunny Saturday here in the UK, and we decided to take a trip to Legoland. We kicked things off with a few rides, grabbed some lunch on site, nothing too fancy. The rest of the day was packed with laughter, excitement, and honestly a perfect little diversion. And now, with both my code and my brain refreshed, let's shift gears and jump into sound design. But first, a quick update. I've just launched a Discord channel. It is a chill space where we can talk about web development, gaming, 3D printing, and your personal show and tells. The link is in the description. Come say hi. Since I wanted my player to have some sounds when he was walking, running, and climbing, I first had an idea of recording a couple of sounds around my house. I did record a couple of samples, like this one where I would bang on my 3D printer for this metallic sound, initially intended to be used on my ladder. But I scrapped that one for a more natural sound that I recorded with some fabric, along with some kick drums and a voice which I got from a voice pack. After I stitched everything together, this is the final version I ended up using. While we're still on the topic of sound, I have another trick I can share with you guys, and that is playing around with the playback rate. The playback rate allows us to manipulate the length of the sound. It would have been great if the web API supported pitch changes instead of the length of the sound, but for now, we're stuck with what we have. Now what am I talking about? Before I show you the in-game sound, let me show you what I mean by the playback rate. This is FL Studio. This is a DAW. For those of you unfamiliar, DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. It's essentially a program that lets you manage sound, helps you make music, helps you make sound effects, and so on. I have an 808 kick here, and we're gonna open up a sampler for this kick. Over here in the stretching options, we have a knob called pitch. This is what I wish we have on the web. Of course, there's ways to achieve this, but not out of the box. If we mess around with the pitch, the length of the sound doesn't change, but the way the kick sounds is different. As soon as we touch the time option here, you'll notice that the sound's lengths change. And of course with that, the sound is different. Now this is what I'm using in my game to alter the sound, but in very tiny amounts. Basically, I'm generating a random interval for our playback rate, and based on that, we hear different sounds. I'll increase my amount here so you can clearly hear the distinction between the sounds. So even though we're using the same sound, we do get a different variant at the end. Thanks to the playback rate, this helps us break up the monotony a little bit. I started working on the initial stages of the menu. For now I made this pause game where I blur out the background, and I'm thinking to have the menu options on top of a styled container. But I'm still thinking of a good way to implement all of this. Since this game is built with web technologies, I plan to use HTML and CSS 100% for this. Besides, I get accessibility completely for free. Alright everyone, that's all for this one. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to join Discord if you like, and I'll see you in the next one.